Welcome to our Mary Greeley Primetime Alive presentation, Weight Management for Older Adults. I am Vicki Newell with the Primetime Alive program here at Mary Greeley Medical Center. As a reminder, if you would like to sign up for the programs or Primetime Alive, join Primetime Alive, you can go to mgmc.org/PTA. All right, our presenter today is Rochelle McCabe. Rochelle is a nurse practitioner with Iowa Weight Loss Specialists. Her clinic is in the Ames office here at Mary Greeley. She attended the University of Iowa for her Doctor of Nursing Practice program, and she completed her graduate project on the management of obesity as a disease in primary care practice. She enjoys helping patients make healthy changes to improve their quality of life. She also established the Iowa Obesity Society to collaborate with her peers to help advocate for better care for patients with obesity. Please welcome Rochelle.
Hi, good afternoon. Can you hear me okay? Good? All right, very good. So I have the following disclosures just to be upfront. I do work for Iowa Weight Loss Specialists. They're part of Iowa Specialty Hospitals, and I did establish the Iowa Obesity Society as well. So today I will review some common concerns about excess weight, challenges with weight management, and some tips on improving your health in general. So next slide here. All right, so common concerns with aging. Certainly as we age, we tend to lose flexibility, joints become arthritic and painful, or just plain wear out. There are changes in the brain, eyes, and ears, which may further lead to balance and mobility issues. Due to pain and limitations, people often lose stamina and get tired or short of breath with physical activity. Even walking through the grocery store, bathing, and preparing meals can become difficult. Immobility can lead to further decline, skin breakdown with even wounds, increased risk for falls with injury, sometimes serious. With excess weight, it can become difficult to reach all areas of your body and perform proper hygiene as well. So for starters, be sure to follow up with your primary care provider. They are going to be your main touch base to make sure you are healthy and taking care of yourself. If you are entitled to Medicare wellness visits, those are a good screening tool to make sure they're covering all the bases, and make sure you complete lab monitoring and take your medications as they're prescribed. And certainly while we would all love to maintain and have an ideal weight, it's not always easy. It's not always completely attainable either, but there is help available. So first off, obesity is a complex, multifactorial chronic disease. Historically, we tried to control cholesterol, hypertension, diabetes, all of that with just diet and exercise. They made medications for those, and they were amazing. They started to treat these disease processes and had a very drastic impact on health in general. Obesity is not any different. So many patients come to me upset. They've been instructed to lose weight by eating less and exercising more. We've probably all heard that. Some need to meet a specific weight loss target to qualify for a joint replacement or even an organ transplant. So it's serious. Sometimes their life is depending on this weight loss. So most people can absolutely change nutrition and activity, but this won't necessarily translate to weight loss for everybody, and certainly not weight loss to the extent you become a normal weight again. So simply eating less and exercising more is based on a simplistic model of energy balance that ignores complex metabolic pathways that regulate metabolism and fat storage in your body. I have patients who eat very little. They exercise quite a bit, yet their weight does not seem to change. On the other hand, I know people who don't eat like they should at all, and they don't exercise, and their weight is perfectly fine. So why? I don't know. So there's a lot more going into play. Honestly, we don't completely understand it even. Scientists are hard at work. I went to a symposium last year. I'm going there. Actually, I'm leaving tomorrow to go back to it for the annual. In Illinois, they had a scientist come on and say, we made this medication to target these genes and this whatever. And they went to human studies and it didn't work. They don't even know why. back to the drawing board. So medications and treatment are very limited at this time. So we do the best we can. Stigma and bias are serious barriers to care too. A lot of patients feel like they should be able to manage their weight themselves, but that's not always true. And there's a lot of underlying genetic things and other things that are in the way for that. A lot of patients might avoid going to their doctor's office because they feel ashamed or embarrassed. Some have even told me they've been scolded by their doctor for their lack of progress, and they've been told you need to lose this weight, eat less, exercise more. Additionally, insurance coverage for the medications that treat these conditions are really challenging. They're not covered very well. They're still often viewed as a vanity thing that, people who are overweight or have excess weight, they're lazy and they're just not doing what they should do. And that is not true. It's really frustrating. So, medical weight loss providers and many organizations across the country are advocating for better care for patients with overweight and obesity. So I've been working on that for as long as I can remember. When I was in graduate school, I did my project on that and found that the care for these people is not good. So, specialized treatment. So specialized treatment really is needed to really help people zone in on what they're struggling with and get to the root cause of why they're struggling with their weight. Every single patient is very unique. So the biology of why some people may store excess weight needs to be addressed on an individualized basis. There's no one-size-fits-all diet or exercise program. There's a lot of them out there. You'll see them on social media and advertisements and these supplements and things, but not so much. So primary care providers, they have a lot to address in their short visits with their patients. When we are talking to patients about overweight and obesity, it is really time consuming. We need to do a thorough assessment on their history, their medications, their diagnoses, everything underlying. We need to look at, do family members struggle with weight? So we need to consider all of those aspects, and they just don't have time to ask you all of that when they're trying to address your hypertension and your cholesterol and, oh, did you get that scan we ordered and all of that. So your provider does not need to place a referral to see us. Some programs do require that. For us, we are here in the Mary Greeley building where, if you know where the acute rehab unit is, we're just a floor below on 2. You can just call the office, make an appointment. It's that easy. We have some paperwork for you to fill out. But weight loss team members, we are well versed in caring for patients suffering from obesity and overweight, and we're well aware of the stigma surrounding the patients that struggle with these things. So our clinics are easily accessible. We have a variety of seating surfaces. We have all sizes of blood pressure cuffs. We don't make you change into a gown or anything like that. It's wheelchair accessible. Our clinic does have a neat scale. When you come to our clinic, we have you take off your shoes and socks and get on our scale. It's a Sika scale. It sends a little electrical current through your body, and it will tell us, depending on how fast those currents get back to the scale, exactly how many pounds of muscle you have on your body, how many pounds of fat you have on your body fat percentage. It can also tell you like water weight, bone mass, things like that. We don't look at that so much because we're mostly focused on, of course, the weight loss part of it. We also have a machine called a calorimeter that's kind of neat. This machine is easy to use. You come in fasting, nothing to eat or drink after midnight. You can have water. You want to come in resting. You breathe into a little tube. It takes about 10 to 20 minutes. It'll analyze your breath. It's looking at how much oxygen you're taking in and how much carbon dioxide you're giving off. And it can tell us a rough estimate of how many calories your body needs to maintain your current weight. It'll tell us how many calories you need to stay within for good weight loss. And then it will also tell us how many calories for your body are not enough to sustain good health. So there is a threshold. If we cut calories too much, your body goes into starvation. Our bodies view fat as a slow burning precious fuel. The more, the better. It hoards it. When we're under stress or anything like that, your body wants to hold on to that for dear life. So in order to allow your body to feel safe and able to let go of that excess weight, we need to get enough calories to meet our basic energy needs and enough protein and other nutrients so your body feels nourished. So this just helps our team guide and make sure you're getting good, adequate nutrition while we're, cutting things down just enough to get the weight loss that we're looking for. So treatment options, we will look at all kinds of different aspects of the patient. We look at endocrine, hormonal, mental health issues. We will look for like hypothyroidism, Cushing's. Some women have polycystic ovarian syndrome, eating disorders. There's an array of issues that people might have that are affecting their weight. So we evaluate and treat those underlying issues, and then review, like any personal or genetic predispositions you might have for weight issues. Assessment generally includes the use of our scale. A lot of patients, I will do the calorimeter or the metabolism test with them. And then we do a very complete nutrition and activity intake with all of our patients just to get an idea of what your nutrition is. So when you go to the doctor, a lot of times they'll say, you're overweight, you really need to get this weight off, eat less, exercise more, and then they move on. They don't say, okay, so tell me, what are you struggling with? Are you hungry all the time? Are you tired? Are you sleeping okay? What are you having for breakfast? What'd you have today? Did you have a snack? Did you have lunch? Did you have an afternoon snack? Did you eat dinner? Do you wake up in the night hungry to eat? So there's a lot of different things that we consider that will go into play with that, and then address those very case by case. Medication management is an important part of treatment for some patients. Some patients use it, some don't. There is no magic diet pill. And when patients come in and say, I think it's time for a diet pill. Okay, what is that? I don't know what you're talking about. There's a lot of different medications we use to treat different things that patients struggle with for behavior change and such. I will sometimes use like certain antidepressants to help with emotional urges to eat, or if someone's real stressed, stress management, getting good sleep. But I'll go over all the medication options here in a little bit too, go over what's FDA approved, what isn't, and kind of explain those a little bit more too. Surgery for some patients is a good option. Our team is very good at coaching patients before and after surgery. With our program, we only do the sleeve. Bypass is pretty invasive. We don't do that anymore. We just do the sleeve, which basically just makes your stomach smaller. You can't eat as much. Your body doesn't realize it's not your full stomach. So when you eat this small amount, the little stretch receptors in your stomach tell your brain, hey, a nice big meal came in. Your brain tells the rest of your body, hey, food's on the way. You're all good. You can stop feeling hungry and sending out those hormones. And then your body thinks, we just had a great meal. I don't know why we're storing all this excess fat, and it lets it go. But there are a lot of different behaviors and things you need to do to be sure you're successful in working with that sleeve the way you should. Ultimately, if you're not compliant, it won't work. You won't have good weight loss with it, or you'll gain back, which you may know people who've had bariatric surgery and they gain it back. Very, very common. We do have a lot of patients from other programs too that will come in, and we'll do kind of a back to basics with them and just kind of review all the basics and say, are you separating your beverages from your foods? Are you doing this and that? There's lots of different things that they need to do. So, all right. And then nutrition. Of course, nutrition is an important part of it. So the physiology driving hunger, satiety, cravings, things like that. We review those with patients, kind of try to get to the bottom of any behavioral type things that are affecting nutrition. If a patient tells me what diet should I be on, or they want to follow a diet, I don't like that. I don't know what to tell you. No, basically, I really would say if you want to follow a model, Mediterranean diet, South Beach is a good one. Getting your lean proteins, good fruits and veggies, whole grains and such. We have a dietitian on staff, and she's always there so she can meet with patients as well to go over nutrition more in depth as well. So myplate.gov is a good resource if you kind of want to look at what you should be doing for meal composition, portions and such. That's a good place to go. We generally don't recommend eliminating any food groups unless there's a medical reason or certainly preference. We don't do like no meat, no dairy, no fruit, for example, unless there's like a real reason for it, because we don't want to limit your choices and the things that you enjoy. We want you to get a good, well-rounded nutrition. So we do limit certainly ultra-processed foods, dining out too much, but there are strategies we teach patients for dining out and doing well with sticking to making nutritious choices there too. Frozen meals, so-called TV dinners, they've come a long way in recent years. A lot of them are very balanced. They have come to realize that people are looking for good quality, nutritious foods. So things like healthy choice, power bowls, cafe steamers, those are all pretty balanced. There's also some like vegan and vegetarian options out there too. So kind of peruse the frozen food section and see what you can find. Just make sure it doesn't have, too much saturated fat, sodium, things like that. But our dietitians, actually, they went to the store one time and they went through all of them and they made a huge database of a bunch of the frozen meals. So we have that in our office. It's like several pages long. You can circle the ones you want to find and maybe order those online or go find them in the store. We do also teach intuitive eating behaviors such as noting hunger and satiety cues, eating slow, chewing well, stopping when you're full. I'll go over that a little bit more in depth in a little bit. Recommended portion sizes and daily caloric needs are very individualized. So our dietitians will assess patients, their height, their weight, their activity level, things like that. And they have formulas that they can do to calculate your needs. Otherwise, food journal apps on your smartphone or even on the internet, some of those are good. They will ask you a variety of questions like, what's your height, your weight, your activity level? What are your goals? And some history questions. They use pretty much the same calculations our dietitians do. As long as your metabolism is spot on normal, they're pretty accurate. With our metabolism test, I have heard reports that those numbers can be skewed as much as 80% of patients need their caloric needs adjusted up or down based on their metabolism test. Most people are not spot on normal. It is a myth, though, that if you have slow metabolism, you tend to be more overweight. If you have fast metabolism, you may be smaller. I have a lady who came in. Before I tell you what she looks like, I will tell you she was eating one hard-boiled egg for breakfast. That was it. She was eating one granola bar in the afternoon. That was it. She was wheelchair bound. She went to the doctor, and guess what they told her? She needed new knees and hips, eat less, exercise more, right? Of course. So she came to us to eat less, exercise more. How do I do this? We told her, no, we're going to do a metabolism test and see what your needs are. She didn't even register. She was so slow because she wasn't feeding her body. So this gal was probably about 400 pounds, maybe 5 foot, wheelchair bound. She couldn't hardly move. Her knees, her hips, they were shot. So what we did is we referred her over to the Medical Arts Building Physical Therapy. They have their therapy pool. They were able to get her into the pool, get her moving a little. Things to do to boost metabolism, exercise, and eating well within what your needs are. So she started getting some exercise. We taught her some seated exercises and we told her eat more. So she ate more. Our dietitian guided her with that. And then she was eventually able to get, I don't remember which joint was the worst, but she got that one fixed and she was able then to at least get up and around and do some things. And I haven't seen her since she met that goal, but that was kind of a success story. And then I also have patients that they come in. I have these big muscular guys who, they were like in football in high school and they come in and they are still eating portions that they do not need. They are exceeding and they are quite overweight. And I'm like, guys, no. And they're trying to lift the weights and things like that, but it's sporadic. So we do their metabolism test and sometimes they come back super fast because they're doing some exercises, not quite enough, but they're on their feet at work, they're moving around. It takes a lot of energy to move their big muscular bodies. And they're eating really well. So their metabolism is just moving along. So they're getting nourished, they're active, but they're overweight. So we have to make changes there to get that back in line. So just some interesting things. We see all kinds of stuff. So as far as nutrition, also, dietitians definitely would be the experts in navigating nutrition with our patients. A lot of our patients have difficulties with meal preparation, or they have special dietary needs, so they can help with that. For early in my career as a new nurse, I worked in a long-term care facility, and I was the restorative nurse. So I was supervising the short-term rehab unit. We'd have people come in with new like hips and knees and things like that. So I worked with physical, occupational, speech therapy. I'd help set up exercise programs and supervise the staff that did the exercises and such. So that I always really enjoyed. So a lot of those I did see as I worked with therapies, the arthritis in their hands or their low back or their knees. They can't stand very well to prepare meals and things like that. So there are different things that we can help. I can put referrals into for my patients for therapy to get some modifications done to help with meal prep and things like that. So dietitians they're available in a variety of settings. They're available, you can sometimes come across them at the grocery store. Hy-Vee is well known for their dietitians. Gyms have them. They're here and there, private practice quite a bit too. Some patients do appreciate keeping a food journal to track intakes, but some patients hate it. So the dietitians can help them with like some meal planning and going about it different ways to get some structure into their meal, make sure they're meeting their needs. I rely on my dietitian to help patients determine an appropriate amount of daily calorie intake, their protein, carbs, fats. I don't know. I know what a balanced plate looks like, but beyond that, counting the numbers, I would need my food journal app. So, dietitians work with patients also on eating habits, behavior and lifestyle change, and navigating their individual barriers that they're struggling with to meet their nutritional needs. And in general, supplements, I have a lot of questions about supplements. If you're eating a well-balanced diet, you're getting your nutrition, and you don't usually need vitamins. Certainly if you have, like, say you're on Lasix and you have low potassium, yeah, you need to supplement that. And some patients, if they're at risk for weight loss, they need meal replacements. Other than that, they're usually not real necessary. Some patients do want to take a little multivitamin, and that's fine too. And I'll go over that in a little bit here too. As far as making meals easier, that is one of the biggest barriers a lot of my patients complain about is it's just so hard. It's easier to go through the drive-through. So eating healthy doesn't need to be difficult or expensive. There are many different options available these days with the internet and such, even for those that have a hard time getting out and getting to the store or standing to cook. So meal services offer a variety of choices, from simply providing the recipe and the ingredients so you don't have to go to the store, like the HelloFresh. Some of them are ready to eat. You just maybe pop them in the microwave. It's relatively easy to do online ordering and grocery delivery right to your house. Many stores do offer the service, and then there's the other services like Instacart and DoorDash. They'll do that for you too. Community events like dinners at church or going to the senior center, those are good opportunities for some meals with others and for social connections too, like you are right now. That's fantastic. You need to get out, get around, see people. Frozen meals, as I said, have come quite a way. So those are good options. They're easy. They're usually they're not too expensive. Food pantries are a good option if your budget is tight to get some kitchen staples into the house. Just swing by there, get a few things. Gardening is a good idea. That'll get you your physical activity as well. And then you can do some freezing and canning. Frozen and canned foods are nearly as good as fresh. I'd rather you have those than not at all and cross them off. Canned veggies sometimes have high sodium, so you can get the low sodium or rinse them. Fruits, get them in their natural juices or canned in water, but they're perfectly fine. Frozen is fantastic too. They're a little more pricey sometimes. So, all right. And then portions and balance. This is hard, but if you look at the picture, it's easy. So when you're building your meal, try to aim for a balanced plate. You want your macros. Macros are another question I get a lot that I'm like, I don't know, ask the dietitian. Macros basically are proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. They're units of energy that are in our foods. A lot of foods have a mixture of all three even. So some of them have a little bit of fat, a little bit of carb, a little bit of protein. So food labels can kind of help you hash out what exactly is in this mixed item that I got at the store and help you tally things up. A lot of the food journal apps let you scan packages and they'll pop it right in there for you, and you just put how many of it you had. Myplate.gov, that's where this picture is from. It's a really good resource. It helps you kind of break down like, what is a portion size? What should I be aiming for? How do I build my plate? Dietitians are, obviously, I've said it probably several times now, they're the best resource. They're just fantastic at helping you put that together. And then they consider your personal preferences and help you choose things that are right for you. Good sources of protein include meats, dairy, nuts, seeds, beans, eggs. About a quarter of your plate should be protein. So those are there. And then healthy fats are very important as well. So you don't want to eat technically a super low fat diet. You want healthy fats, but you don't want to eliminate them completely. Fats, your brain actually is mostly made up of fat. So there's one important source. Otherwise, nerves need fat for conduction. It insulates and keeps your body temperature regulated, protects your organs, and it does transport certain vitamins and minerals throughout your bloodstream to get them to the tissues where they're needed. So don't eliminate those. Healthier fats would be like olive oil, nuts, seeds, fish. Those are some good sources. So carbohydrates, that is an area where a lot of people get real upset wondering how many carbs should I have, and they ask me and I send in the dietitian. So carbohydrates are essential for energy. They are the primary fuel for your brain. So a lot of patients will try to restrict carbs or not have them, and your brain will get hungry. You'll feel hangry, as they say. Your brain will kick out sugar cravings or carb cravings if you're stressed, bored, upset. So that can lead to some eating behaviors as well. So just being aware of that. Let's see here. So about a quarter of your plate should be the carbohydrate sources, and those are there. And those, of course, are like your starchier vegetables like potatoes, corn, peas. Those don't count as your veggie source over here. But they are in the picture. Well, carrots, they're kind of starchy too. Anywho, fruits in general could be a starch as well. And whole grains such as oats, rice, whole wheat found in breads and cereals are good sources too. And then about half of your plate, you want to be fruits and veggies, and you can prepare those however you like them, cooked, broiled, chopped, however, raw. And eating behaviors, that is a very important aspect of things. So think back to when you were a baby, just a little bit ago. When you were hungry, you screamed and cried. Someone fed you. When you were full, you went to sleep, and that was it. You just listened to your body. When you were uncomfortable, you threw a fit about it. When you felt good, you were happy. As we get older, we start to ignore our bodies and not listen to those cues. So if you were to live in the woods and never meet another person, if you were hungry, you'd find food, you'd eat it. If you were full, you'd stop. As we get older, different things influence our ability to listen to our bodies and such as we go through life. So it starts right there in the hospital. You want to get that baby to have this many ounces of milk, so you're waking them up and you're trying to get them to have it. Toddlers are picky, so you're force feeding them, telling them clean your plate. You can't leave the table till you have a bite of whatever. And then you're rushed off to school, and you're maybe in a hurry in the morning and you don't get a good breakfast and your little tummy's growling. And I'm sure if there's any school nurses here, you have kids with tummy aches all the time and you give them some crackers and send them back to class. And then you go to lunch and it's not what mommy made. It's weird. And you want to get outside and play with your friends for recess. So you don't really eat real good. And then the afternoon, you can't listen. You're hungry. And then you get home and you just want to eat everything in the house. And as adults, we do the same thing. We keep doing it. So you get up early in the morning, you're rushing out the door, you get to work, you maybe have your coffee because you know you need the caffeine. You're busy at work, you don't eat your meals, you just rush through. And then when you get home, you are starving. So one thing that's interesting to realize too is when we're out and about in the world, for women, I say, if you feel like you need your bra on, you're probably in a fight or flight type of mode. You're aware of your surroundings. You are ready for anything that may come at you. You're trying to keep up appearances, make sure you're acting appropriately. When you get home, you go into rest and digest. So if you're anything like me, even driving home in your car, you're thinking, okay, when I get home, I'm going to swap the laundry, I'm going to make supper, I'm going to get down and wash the floor, I'm going to do this and that. And then as soon as you walk in the door, you're like, nope, done. I'm going to sit on the couch. I am exhausted. I am hungry. I'm going to grab those chips. That's really, really common. So a lot of my patients really struggle. We work on firstly getting your meals in throughout the day, using those nutrients, getting them into your body when your body needs that fuel. And that really can help with some of those behaviors of getting off track later on when you get home at the end of the day. And you're stressed throughout the day. Your brain needs that energy. It will know it when you get home that you're in a safe place. There's food there. It's time to stock up. And those cravings just come. So that can really help. Our dietitians and our mental health providers teach, it's called intuitive eating, listening to your body. So there's lots of books out there and things on that. So kind of looking at that, noticing like, am I hungry? Am I full? How hungry am I? And such can really help. But we get really good at ignoring our bodies. So as far as eating, before you are going to eat, think about emotions, how you're feeling, breathe and relax, get ready. You want to get into that rest and digest state before your meal so you're not just mindlessly scarfing it down and eating too fast and maybe overeating or not eating enough because you're not paying attention. So the body, as I said, is often in a state of fight or flight when you're out and about, prepared for whatever comes. So you get in that rest and digest mode. To kind of prepare for that, notice your plate. Look at the colors and the textures. Notice the smell as you eat. Notice the tastes, the different feels the food give you. Chew each bite really, really well. So I have some patients actually count the number of chews or pretend they can't swallow solids to kind of slow themselves down. This helps with digestion, because if that food is broken down better with the saliva chewed up well in your mouth, once it gets to your stomach can break it down more efficiently, get it out to your intestines, and your body can process it better. If you're just scarfing it down, you've got these whole solid pieces in your tummy, they're gonna sit like a rock. You're not gonna feel good and they're not gonna digest great. So eat slow, sit down, pay attention to your food, don't rush. A meal really should take about 15 to 20 minutes. Your stomach has little stretch receptors in it that tell your brain when you're full. So it takes about 20 minutes from when those stretch receptors note fullness for your brain to really get the message. So if you're eating slow, you're enjoying your meal, once you finish that plate or you start to feel full, stop. But say you finished your plate, you're not sure if you're full yet, wait about 20 minutes before you go and restock your plate to see if it sets in and maybe you do end up feeling satisfied. When you're dining out, a good strategy I like to teach a lot of my patients, our portions these days are huge. They are just ridiculous. So either split a plate with somebody, ask for your to-go box right away so you don't feel compelled to finish your plate. A lot of my patients were brought up in households that they didn't have a lot of money. So, they'd put out dinner. And if you didn't stock up your plate and scarf it down right now, when you're eating slow and chewing well, and there's no food left if you're still hungry. So there's a lot of different things that go into that. So we do dive into all of that in your consult with you as well. So we look at all that. But that does take the pressure off so you don't feel compelled to finish your plate with those big portions. And then as far as supplements, so again, supplements such as vitamins and meal replacements are generally not necessary for healthy individuals. Many patients do choose to take a general multivitamin, which is perfectly fine. When you're choosing a supplement like a pill form, like say your doctor says you need to supplement with vitamin D, if they don't send in a script for you, the pharmacy will use a formula made by a pharmaceutical company so you know that it is safe and effective. What it says is in it is in it. When you're buying things off the shelf, the FDA doesn't have to regulate those. I could just fill some capsules with cornstarch, put them out there and say, oh, they're diet pills. And people will buy them. That stuff is all over social media. It's all over ads on TV. You don't know what's really, truly in that stuff. So when you're buying vitamins and such, get one made by a pharmaceutical company. Some good ones are Centrum. They are made by, I believe, Bayer, and then Nature Made is a good choice as well. pharmaceutical companies are required to show that their supplements are what they say they are. A lot of my patients do struggle to meet their protein needs. Protein can be a struggle for some patients, especially if they're trying to stay within a certain caloric intake. If you think back to the protein foods, a lot of those are like meats. They've got some fats in them. They add a lot of calories. So some patients will use like a protein supplement, like a little shake or a bar, and that's fine. But I wouldn't go ahead and just randomly do that on your own. If you have like kidney impairment or anything like that, you do need to limit your protein, and it can be hard on your kidneys if you overdo it. So do check with a dietitian or the food journal apps. They'll guide you on where you should aim for too. So exercise. So of course, staying active is important, not only for weight management to maintain strength and stamina. The general recommendation to aim for exercise for adults is to get about 30 minutes of cardiovascular exercise about 5 times a day, and to get about 2 or 3 days of some strength training, resistance training. Exercise can be done formally, or you can work it in throughout the day. There have been some studies done showing that doing little spurts of activity throughout the day is much better than if you just sit sedentary and then hit the gym for half an hour. So keep your blood pumping, keep your metabolism going throughout the day. Initially, a lot of my patients, we kind of put exercise on the back burner, but we will start out with some initial approaches like parking further away at the store, walking the store instead of getting the cart or the little motorized scooter, taking the stairs instead of the elevator, making efforts throughout the day to just get up and move, go get some more water, keep things kind of out of reach so it's not just all right there by your chair and you can just sit all day. Throughout the waking hours, I do recommend, especially for my office workers, trying to make an effort to get up and move about once every hour just to keep that blood pumping. Go to the bathroom, refill your water, catch up on some gossip over there, so keep moving. So exercise, those are the recommendations at the top there. It doesn't have to be boring and done at the gym and formal and regimented. Walking, jogging, running, those are all fine. You can get outside and do those, walk with friends. Swimming, especially with summer, water exercise is really good. It's easy on your joints. It's great resistance. You can get your cardio in. You can really get out of breath. Couple summers ago, we took a vacation to North Carolina, and I can tell you just standing in the ocean is a workout. So very good. Seated exercises. You don't have to stand up and jump around to get good exercise. I have a lot of different handouts and things from back in my days in the rehab unit that I give patients seated exercise handouts to do with some instructions. Yoga is fantastic. Pilates, Tai Chi, they will help with balance and flexibility and such, help you get down on the floor to play with the kiddos and such. Housework and yard work, if you're gonna like deep clean a room and it's more than you normally do, that's gonna be some exercise there. Pets are fantastic. I feel weird just walking by myself, so I like to take my dog with me. Sports are great. I have a lot of older adults that I know that like to play pickleball. I've never played, but I've heard it's great fun. Some injuries there though, so be careful. YouTube, there is a plethora of things on YouTube. You could take some classes through Zoom, through the internet. On YouTube, I did have one gal that she found that there are people who went on vacations and they videoed like their walk, like through all kinds of different exotic places, even an African safari type thing. And you can get on your treadmill and watch that video and it makes it seem like you're walking in that place and you get some sightseeing in. So that's kind of cool. But just get creative. Doesn't need to be boring and stuffy. Mental health is really important. So mental health struggles are probably, in my opinion, the biggest struggle to weight loss. Our brains just, they control everything, obviously. So mental health therapists, they can help get to the root cause of mental health struggles and help you work through those. It can be a major barrier to health. So I put a lot of referrals into mental health. So since your brain is made up mostly of fat, it runs off carbohydrates for energy, people struggling with anxiety, depression, anything like that, stress, they often turn to food for comfort. Or even substances like drugs and alcohol just to kind of numb those stressors. So I will put in referrals to mental health to work through some of those things. Make sure you're getting adequate sleep, keeping social connections, eating a healthy diet. You need those carbs and fats. Adequate physical activity, stress management is very important. Major changes in life events can cause significant stress, and that can get out of hand pretty quickly or unexpectedly. A mental health therapist can help you navigate through those difficult times, just kind of help put things in perspective, give you some tools to cope. Disordered eating habits, I see quite a bit from the things that we talked about earlier about how our society shapes us and makes us eat, not listening to our bodies. Food cravings, they can help with establishing changes like for eating habits, lifestyle, your routine, things like that. And then when we're trying to improve health, we do try to focus on small, sustainable changes instead of uprooting everything and writing you a plan on day one. Small, sustainable changes are really where it's at. So you want to just work on like 1 or 2 things, maybe 3 at a time. Once you've mastered that, move on to the next step. So give yourself some grace. Don't try to uproot yourself and change it all in one day. And now medications. So there is not a magic diet pill. If there is, it kind of might be phentermine, but not necessarily. It's not for everybody. I'll go through all of these. Weight loss medications, they can be a helpful tool for some patients to aid in adherence to lifestyle and behavior changes. There is an array of medications specifically designed to target different aspects of appetite, hunger, and behavior, and they're used in medical weight loss in conjunction with lifestyle and fitness advice. So it's important to understand medications for weight loss are tools. They are generally ineffective on their own without establishing behavior and lifestyle change. Additionally, maintenance use is often necessary, or weight regain can happen once you go off of them if we haven't gotten everything settled. Name brand FDA approved drugs are going to be the Phentermine, Qsymia, Contrave, Saxenda, and Wegovy. I use a lot of other medications off label to treat different things. So if I have a patient say they're having emotional eating and such, I might use a little antidepressant to kind of help taper that for them. So Phentermine, Lomaira, these meds are stimulants. They stimulate the central nervous system. They're energizing. I kind of think of them like caffeine. You take them in the morning, they give you some pep. They really suppress your appetite. They do have significant side effects for a lot of patients. They can increase blood pressure and pulse. Commonly dry mouth, anxiety, insomnia, constipation, headaches. They are used very much in caution, if at all, in patients with heart conditions or a history of substance abuse, because they are a stimulant, so they can make you feel away. But they are good. I do find once a patient starts on phentermine, it works really well at first. It kind of loses the effect over time. Subsequent tries, it doesn't work as well. So I'll use a phentermine for a patient who feels like they're really hungry all the time, and then we can make some changes, get them in a good pattern, and then we taper off of it. Lomaira is a name brand one. It is just a more of an immediate release. It lasts about 4 to 6 hours. So you can take it. So after work, I have a lot of patients that will take it in the evening. If they get home and they're just out of control and they're hungry all evening, it can help kind of rein that in. But the Lomaira is FDA approved that you can use it 3 times a day as needed. Qsymia, that is a name brand combo drug. It has a little smidge of phentermine in it, and then it also has topiramate. If there's any neurologists in here, I know you don't love topiramate. It's an old school med often prescribed to people for seizures and migraines. It basically calms your brain. Like I said, your brain runs off sugar and such. So when you're stressed and everything, it's going to kick out those cravings. The topiramate kind of calms that down. It also has a side effect. It makes things taste kind of funny. So soda and sweets, I've found artificial colors like in frosting taste awful. So a lot of patients don't want them anymore. I use a really teeny tiny dose, much less than I would use if you had like a seizure disorder or migraines or anything like that. Side effects, it can cause neuropathy, drowsiness, brain fog, which we don't need more of that a lot of times. And it can cause kidney stones to come back if you've had them before. So that's no good either. Contrave, that has the antidepressant bupropion in it. Name brand would be like Wellbutrin. It just helps kind of give people that I can do it attitude. It boosts mood. It's a little bit energizing, has a little bit of appetite suppression to it. Side effects for that are actually similar to the phentermine. If you have a seizure disorder, we avoid it because it can induce seizures in those people prone to them. It can also, just like with most antidepressants, it can increase like mood things, activate suicidal thoughts, or actually with the bupropion, even homicidal thoughts. So we watch for that. The other component to the Contrave is naltrexone. That is a drug often given to people going through treatment for drugs and alcohol. It targets cravings, works great for food. So if I have a patient who comes in and they say, I'm a chocoholic, the naltrexone works well for that. So side effects most commonly are nausea. It does also, importantly to know, it blocks opioid effects. So if you're on pain medicines, we'll need to watch that, and you can't use it with that. Oh, yes, absolutely. Sorry. So the GLP-1 meds, those are the newer ones out on the market. They're all over the internet, social media. They're injections. There are some, they were first developed for diabetes, then they developed some newer ones, same exact drugs though, for weight loss. So these medicines basically slow down your whole digestive system. When you eat, you get full quickly. The food really sits with you. Biggest side effects are GI issues. That's pretty common. So we also are very careful if you've had a history of like pancreatitis, certain cancers. It hasn't shown cancers in humans, but it's kind of in the back of the mind because it did show up on like lab rats and such. So we are aware of that. They're super expensive. Availability has been an issue. Insurance coverage is tough. They really are fantastic medications, but they do come with a lot of cautions. When I start a patient on them for weight loss, you really have to stay on them long term to maintain a result. When we take away the medicine, your body reverts back to old ways. They just help your body become much more efficient, helps support metabolism, and you need it and you have to stay on it or it doesn't work anymore. But I will be doing grand rounds in September, and I think those eventually are available on YouTube, and I'm going to be talking specifically about those meds. So. And then just to wrap up, Iowa Weight Loss Specialists, it's on your handout, all of our locations and our contact info. We do medical and surgical options. You don't need a referral. You can just go online and make an appointment and get your paperwork and make an appointment. We have a surgeon, medical providers, nurses, dietitians, mental health therapists. We do a really intensive care coordination for surgery to make sure it's smooth. And then we do offer lifelong follow-up. We don't just do your surgery and say, okay, you're fixed, because that is not at all the case. It requires a lot of ongoing maintenance to keep you on track. And these are just some of my favorite resources. Myplate.gov is great for nutrition advice. And otherwise, these are just a lot of the medical organizations and things that give us our good evidence-based guidelines so that we know that we're on track and telling you the latest info and not just going off things we see on TikTok. So, all right. And then questions.
And I have the microphone, so just raise your hand and I'll come around and make sure everybody can hear.
Does Medicare pay for this?
Yeah, so it depends on your plan. I actually, the medical providers we charge as family practice. However, some plans require, depending if they're out of state, a supervising physician. So then our surgeon is our supervising physician. He's a specialist, so then it ends up getting charged as a specialist fee. So just check with your plan. But generally, Iowa and such, most Medicare plans just cover it like a regular family visit.
Other questions? Oh, there's got to be a lot of them. I'm making my way down there, but I'm going to ask as I go here. Is your clinic just overflowing? Are you seeing?
It is crazy.
Yeah.
I'm actually booked out, I think, like 8 weeks. So is my partner in that location. Our Des Moines location is swamped. We're adding more providers when we can, but we need more space. We're in that little, it used to be a long time ago, the wound clinic. We actually, the other provider and I gave up our office to make it another exam room because we were running out. Now we're up in the reception and the reception's out in the waiting room. It's crazy. Yeah, it's very exciting. So I think Mary Greeley's looking to find us some more space. And then we've been looking at other locations too, but definitely going to stay in the Ames area. We have a huge, lots of patients.
I think your philosophy and how you look at weight management and I don't know if I want to say causes or why. I think that helps people feel a lot, not that stigma so much. So probably more so willing to come in and visit.
Absolutely. And that is the thing. A lot of patients don't have a lot of control over their weight. It's very frustrating when they are told, eat less, exercise more. You can do a perfect diet, perfect exercise. That doesn't mean your weight's going to be perfect. If your parents are both quite overweight, your sisters and brothers are, your aunts and uncles, you're probably going to be, whether we do something really drastic, there's nothing you can really do. And one thing that's important is to realize our bodies are built for survival. So you don't ever see a deer out in the wilderness saying, ooh, summer's coming, I want to lose 20 pounds. They don't understand, your body doesn't understand restricting food. So anytime food is restricted, your body thinks there's some sort of food shortage, something's a problem. Your body compensates by slowing down your metabolism to make do with what's coming in. And then as soon as that food becomes available again, AKA you fall off the wagon, you're eating more, your body becomes more efficient at gaining back not only what you lost, but a little extra to protect you for that next food shortage. So then I just see the weight going up and up and up and up over the years. And I have people come to me and they're like, I've been dieting my whole adult life. I'm here. I started here. What is the deal? So we just kind of help rein it in, find out what your actual needs are, make sure you're meeting those needs. And then we use, like medication, surgery, different behaviors and things to help with that.
I'm probably not alone in this. I eat all my meals by myself.
Yeah.
So any suggestions, I've read some things about, you probably shouldn't be watching Sean Hannity or Wolf Blitzer or Mother Angelica or whatever it is that tends to get you upset while you're eating.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, that it tends to, you're going to end up eating more because you're angry or whatever it is. Any ideas about, those of us who don't have somebody sitting across the table from us, how we might kind of manage that whole thing so that we're not ending up watching the news and then getting upset and
Yep. So a lot of times our dietitians will go through that with patients or the mental health therapist. You can turn off the TV, maybe get something to read that's a little more calmer while you're eating. But do set your table, build your plate, think about your food as you're eating it. Count your chews, or as you're eating, think about the flavors, how you're feeling while you're eating. You can put on some music. Eating outside in the nice weather can be nice. You're kind of listening to the birds and seeing what the neighbors are doing as you're eating. A little distraction in that sense is okay. Or like conversation with someone if you were eating with somebody is okay. But yeah, for the most part, you really want to concentrate on chewing well, getting that food broken down, not eating too fast, and listening to your body. So anything that doesn't interfere with those strategies is fine. I'll watch TV when I'm eating, and I still do well eating slow. We have some patients that are fine that way. But yeah, you don't want to watch anything exciting or upsetting. So, yeah. But yeah, and online, if you do or find a book on intuitive eating, they have a lot of advice on those situations too.
Any online? Okay, go ahead. Tim's going to read one from online for us.
Okay.
Okay, the question is, does apple cider vinegar do anything for us?
It is not truly evidence-based. So the jury is out. So there's a lot of things like apple cider vinegar, cinnamon, collagen, things like that. There's not enough evidence to say yes or no, really. I have patients that try those things. If they're trying it, they think it works, even if it's a placebo effect, great, do it. Fine, it won't hurt you. But evidence-wise, I don't think there's enough research and such to say for sure that it does or doesn't help.
All right. Oh, here's another question.
I have a lot of trouble with my sleep patterns.
Yeah.
And the older I've gotten, the worse it's gotten. And I wondered, since I retired, I just sort of sleep whenever I'm tired and I'm awake whenever I want to be awake. And so I have no pattern to my sleep. Mm-hmm. Is it bad? Would it be bad for me to take a mild sleep, like a help thing to help me sleep? I haven't done it yet.
Yeah. So what we start with is good sleep hygiene. So really actually setting a bedtime, setting a wake time, and trying to occupy yourself throughout the day to keep yourself, stimulated so your brain doesn't get bored. That would be step one. And then in your bedroom, making sure that it's cool, it's dark. If you need a fan for a little white noise, that can help too. But we start with that. If that doesn't work, there are some over-the-counter supplements that are okay. As far as like melatonin, I actually recommend you take it about 2 hours before bedtime and start with a really teeny tiny dose. It really doesn't take much. That just helps support your wake sleep pattern, but you really want to kind of establish a normal sleep bedtime. Try it at night. If you're trying to sleep and you wake up and you're just really wide awake and can't sleep, get up, go out, read a little bit, and then try again. Eventually, it should get better. As you get older, though, you really don't need as much sleep. So some people really struggle with that concept, that they're freaking out that, oh my gosh, I'm going to bed late, I'm waking up real early. That might be normal and fine for you. Just go by how you feel throughout the day. Also, I put a lot of referrals into sleep medicine to investigate sleep disorders and actually like sleep apnea. If you ever have anyone staying with you, if they notice that you're snoring, you stop breathing in your sleep, or you're waking up with like headaches, or you just never feel like you're getting good rest, you should reach out to sleep medicine.
Any other questions? Tim, any other questions online?
Nope.
Nope. All right. Well, wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Rochelle. Great presentation. Lots of wonderful information. And thank you for taking time from your busy schedule.
Absolutely. It's kind of nice. I'm leaving for vacation tomorrow. As I said, I think a little bit earlier, we're going to leave tomorrow and go to Illinois. I have gotten involved with the Illinois Obesity Society, and they're having their annual summit on Friday, and they have a bunch of speakers, and it's been fantastic. So it's been fun to network with those two. So I am connecting with people from out of state and such to try to see, how do they get things taken care of. So
Wonderful. Well, once again, thank you. Lots of wonderful
you.
information.
Yeah.
Those of you in attendance, if you don't mind filling out the evaluation, giving us ideas for other programs or presenters, and you can set those on the table in the back. Our next program we have next week on Tuesday, and unfortunately, that's the same day Ragbry's in town. So if you are coming that day, Stop the Bleed, Save a Life. It's one of our paramedic specialists is going to give, it's a national recognized program on applying tourniquets, saving lives as somebody is bleeding, and it's a wonderful program. We've done it here for our employees as well. Maybe just allow yourself 5 or 10 extra minutes to get here because of all the extra traffic in town. And then Tuesday, August 22nd is our next program. Oh, I'm sorry. Thursday, August 17th, we're having fall risk screenings, and they're between 1 and 4 p.m. in the afternoon. Those you cannot sign up online. You need to sign up by calling our office at 239-2423, and we can get you signed up. It only takes about 15 minutes, but gives you some really good information. And then Tuesday, August 22nd, 2 p.m. in this room, our program is Sleep and Human Aging. So if you're interested in those, sign up online or give our office a call for the fall risk screenings. Thank you for coming out, everyone. Once again, thank you, Rochelle.
Thank you
and
for
have a
having me.
great day, everyone.